toes! Oh my gosh! That thing's a behemoth!
Welcome to Spearfishing Down Under. Today I'm going to take you back in time just a little bit. I've spent the last little while going through some of our old footage as we prep for some of the how-tos we're going to put together into the future. And as I was doing that, I went to a dive trip I did a little while ago with Josh Ball and Leigh Mitchell. Leigh came all the way over from Western Australia. I've done a bunch of trips with him, and in the future we're going to look at some of those. But he had some goals on what he wanted to shoot in these trips. His key goal was to come over and shoot a big purple cod. Now, I wish I could say to everyone that you can go out and shoot a purple cod first moment of every day. That is not possible. And he didn't just want any purple cod, he wanted a 10 kilo plus purple cod. Leigh flew in from Perth and we picked him up at the airport and we stayed the night in Brisbane. But we got up about midnight and we drove through the night into the morning and we arrived just before lunchtime in the area we wanted to dive. We launched the boat and we only had an afternoon and then the next day that we were going to focus on trying to find a purple cod for him. We headed out to the reef and we pulled up and fortunately we had really good water, really good visibility. We're all excited, we're all pumped, and we started doing some drifts along some area just to see what was going on for the day. About an hour into diving, I did a dive and I got down to the bottom, and when I looked over the ledge, I see this big purple cod. Unfortunately, halfway to the bottom, my camera turned off, so I backed off, back, headed to the surface, and when I got to the surface, called out to Leigh, who was in the boat, and said, "Leigh, gear up, you need to get in the water. I found a really big purple cod." The unfortunate thing is, Josh Ball was drifting right beside me and didn't hear me call out to Leigh, and I looked to my left to see him diving, and I thought, oh no, Josh is going to shoot that purple cod for sure. I quickly swam over, tried to grab his fin, but he'd already dove. I said to Leigh, oh no, we've just blown this. He's going to shoot that purple cod. Listen, you never see two purple cod on a dive trip. The suspense was painful when we were waiting for Josh to come back to the surface. I saw him probably 10 meters from the surface and he'd shot. I just assumed that he'd shot that purple cod. But he came to the surface and he just shot a mangrove jack. I was like, I can't believe you didn't shoot that purple cod. And his reply to me was, I didn't see a purple cod. Now, we later on that night watched his footage. When he got to the bottom, he swam past that purple cod and shot that mangrove jack right beside it. We instantly started hassling him and challenging him. What are you doing, man? Do you always miss these great fish? You know what's incredible? He went home and got an eye test straight after that and realized that he was half blind and now has to wear glasses. After the Borlo fiasco, I figured that purple cod was gone, but I said to Leigh, jump in anyway. It's worth the risk. If it is there, great. If it's not, shoot something else. Leigh dove, and again, the suspense was killing me, hanging on the surface. He disappeared, but I heard the shot from the surface. When he come back up, he was absolutely pumped because he had shot that purple cod.
There's the toes! Yeah! Big purple. I had to swim past so many fish to get to him. Like big tuskies. I'm like, oh, and even after all that, I'm like, oh, rank it. I'm like, no. Big toad too. Yes, it is. Yeah, on the wall.
It is not often that you drive from one side of Australia to the other, you set a goal, and within an hour and a half of diving at the start of the trip, you reach that goal and shoot the fish you want. Leigh, me, Borlo, we were stoked. We couldn't believe it. We've just come with this one goal, one target, and he's got it already. So the trip was made without us even having to go into the rest of the couple of days that followed. But the rest of the couple of days that followed were followed by some more incredible fish. We had to just reset new goals. From there, the day was made, so we just focused on seeing if we could shoot a couple of fish to start the trip. This whole trip, every time you dove, you could hear whales, which middle of the year, often is the case here, we have so many whales. In fact, every year we have more and more whales. Some of these clips, the whales are so loud in the background that it's almost deafening. Josh Ball found some really odd fish. He found a school of small dogtooth tuna. Josh had never seen dogtooth tuna before, he'd never shot a dogtooth tuna before, and he was lucky enough to shoot his first dogtooth. Those things are so yummy. The sweetest sashimi at that size.
Baby dog, dinner.
I did a dive and I hit the bottom and a really nice coronation trout sat there. It wasn't huge, it was a nice fish, but I figured we've got a huge trip ahead of us and we've already taken some nice fish. So I left that really nice coronation trout and I didn't take the shot. On trips like this, sometimes you need to leave good fish because we're staying for 3 days. We're going to take a lot of fish over those 3 days, but we don't need to take every fish. After this, it was getting late in the afternoon and we'd tied the swags to the nose of the boat. So we pulled up on one of the close islands and we camped there for the night. Overnight, we chatted about what was our goals for the next day. We'd already met that goal, we'd already shot the purple cod. So Leigh said, let's go and chase some redfish. That usually involves a little bit deeper diving, chasing fish like largemouth nennyguy and red emperor. They were the two focus fish for the day. First off in the morning was a spot that we're out chasing some largemouth nennyguy. These are some of my favourite fish for a number of reasons. Number one, they are beautiful, delicious to eat. Secondly, they're a fish that are quite rare to find. And this day we were hunting around what is called a wonky hole. It is a small hole in the ground and many people have different theories on how they're formed, but mostly people believe they're formed by underwater springs pushing up from the ground, which causes nutrients into the ocean, but also causes a big hole in the ground. These areas attract bait fish, which in turn attract fish like cod, which follow it up, attract really nice fish like largemouth nennyguy and red emperor. These wonky holes are usually found in deeper water, and when they are, they're covered in these largemouth nennyguy. Those largemouth nennyguy, because they're on quite open country, there's not major reef, there's not other species around, can sometimes be a little spooky and harder to shoot. You can see in some of these clips that they just shy away every time you get to the bottom, and to shoot those fish, you really need to make sure you're not aggressive towards them. You need to keep your gun back, not rolling it down hard, not chasing after them. You can see in some of Josh's footage, he chased after those fish a little bit and they spooked and moved away. Bolo dove first, and he come down on what was a really big school of largemouth nennyguy. You could see him clearly on the sounder. And he picked out a really nice fish.
Yeah!
Thanks, mate.
Yeah, it's kind of big gun, eh?
Tell me all about it, Bob.
Well, sometimes it's easy for some guys, and some guys on the same trip, it's a little bit harder. But finally, fourth dive for these fish, seen them every dive, and finally got a shot, but yeah, as you can see, it held, and yeah, come up with the rewards. So thanks, Tim, for that.
Leigh dove. Leigh also shot a really nice largie. Thirdly, it was my turn. And I was fortunate enough to land on a really nice fish. Most of these fish were between the 8-9 kilo mark. There was probably anywhere up to 50 fish on this wonky hole, but we decided we're going to shoot 2 each. Bolo shot his second. there I shot my second as well. After we shot a couple of largies each, we jumped in the boat, had a look at the esky, and there was already a really red, awesome esky.
That's red as dead. Unfortunately for largies, very red. That's sick. That one's got a big head, eh? Like, in there. Cheers, nice one.
But decided let's leave the largies and let's go and find some other red fish. So the next target fish was red emperor. We headed out a little wider and fortunately we found some cleaner water. The first stop was a rock that would shot red emperor before. In fact, Bryson a few years earlier had shot the Australian record. I dove, headed to the bottom, and when I hit the bottom, I looked up to see another really big purple cod. I hit the bottom, I scratched and waited. That purple cod just hung off in the distance and wouldn't come close. Big jobfish swam in front of me, but that purple was just sitting there. I was just wanting to shoot that thing so bad. After waiting for what seemed like an eternity, I realized that purple cod wasn't gonna come. So I went to push off the bottom, but as I did, I looked to my left and in come two really nice red emperor. I waited, one of them came really close, I aimed up, perfect stone shot.
Have I got a story to tell?
We couldn't believe it. Everything we decided on this trip we're going to target, first spot, we find them. And it's just been an incredible trip so far. We took a little bit of footage on the surface of the red emperor and then decided let's go up and see if we can put Leigh onto that purple cod. We were saying to each other, imagine if you could do a trip from West Australia with your target as a purple cod and shoot two of them in 2 days over 10 kilos. I drifted with Leigh as he prepped out for the next dive and I saw him head to the bottom, waiting, listening. I hear the shot come off and when he comes back up, he's stoked because he's got his second purple cod.
I was still close enough. I knew I had the range.
Yep.
But I don't know how.
Chuck me your little 1 meter gun. Watch your head, Leigh. Oh my gosh! That thing's a behemoth! In his arms.
You're good at giving the good fish away, aren't you?
That fish is a new Aussie record, mate.
Thanks, Rick.
That's a new Aussie record. Oh, is it? Maybe it looked way bigger underwater. He just sort of lost his size when he popped up, didn't he?
Still a good fish.
It's a great fish. Yeah.
I'm pumped with that, man.
How's 2 in 1 trip?
Oh no! I went down and the only fish that was there was him on the sand directly under me. I'm like, how could I couldn't get closer to him.
That is awesome.
This one was even bigger than the first one. After Leigh had shot that purple cod, we decided to move areas and target some different fish. These drifts were actually over different country I hadn't dove too much before in the past. First dive, I dove on a spot that looked really fishy. As I got down mid-water, I could see why it was fishy. There was a massive school of jobfish. These fish are tricky and so tasty. It's very rare you get to shoot them on the drop. Most of the time you have to hit the bottom, scratch, throw up sand. But being in fact it was a bit deeper area that probably hasn't been dove before, I picked a really nice fish, just sat there for me, and I took the shot.
That's why I got 2 floppers, eh?
It was starting to get late in the afternoon. We had a fair run home and a big drive through the night to head to our next location. So I thought I'd just do 1 more drift and 1 more drop. I dropped pretty close to where I'd seen those jobfish in an area that looked like it had better bottom. As I headed down near the bottom, I noticed there was no jobfish around, but I saw another purple cod. I remember thinking in my head, is it possible that we could shoot 3 big purple cod in one trip? Tucked my gun in, tried to make sure streamline myself, not kicking too much, and I was heading into deeper water, so I was drifting down fairly easily, pretty negatively buoyant. A big purple cod was just stupid. It had obviously never seen a diver before and just sat there and gave me the perfect shot at it. Come to the surface, absolutely stoked. I couldn't believe it. Myself, purple cod, Leigh too. We've got 3 awesome purple cod on one trip.
Did I miss that? So I landed on like flat stuff and he was just sitting there. Nice fish, eh? He's close to being as big as Leigh's.
So we are a day and a half into a 2.5 day trip, and if you don't want this video to be an hour long, I'm going to cut this in half right here, and don't miss out on the next episode, because next episode we're on the coast and we're targeting some really cool northern Queensland coastal species. Barramundi's number 1, and big black Jew. We find some mega schools. In fact, hey, just a sneak preview, we shoot 3 black Jew on one dive. As always, thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for watching. We want you to like, subscribe, click that bell to make sure you get notified every time we post our new videos.